Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Yeah. Now, yes, I can. So you can get this groove in the back of a can. You can make it round the world and it holds in your hand. Popcorn World. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. I said popcorn make you smile. Ah. 250 flavors. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World.
Now it's time for Bleav in the ACC with our starting lineup. From Florida State, number 17, Charlie Ward. From Morehead State University, number 50, Lloyd Span. And from Murray State University, number 2, Kendrick Haskett. Get ready for the best sports show about the ACC in all the land. Bleav in the ACC starts now.
New intros. That's what happens. New year, new intros, and maybe a sneak peek of hopefully the near future. So there you go.
I like it.
We're dreaming big around here, people. We're dreaming big around here. Charlie, me, Kendrick, all of us. We're dreaming big. That's
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Teamwork makes the dream work. And then Charlie leaves the screen.
Yeah, that checks. That plays.
That plays. But listen, we're here to have fun. That's what we're doing, man. I'm glad. That is the great Kendrick Haskins right there. He'll be back in a minute, but that's Charlie Ward. You saw him. So he does exist.
We saw him. We have communicated this morning.
That is very true. And this is Bleav in the ACC. We're glad to be here with you this morning. Man, it's been raining like crazy and cloudy every day here. I don't know what is it doing there?
It stormed here. We had tornado warnings in the middle of the night. I just checked my phone and saw the tornado warnings. I don't know if anything touched down or not, but it was lightning and everything. It felt like it was mid-July outside. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, we had none of that.
Our temperatures have been all over the place. We hit 70 the other day.
Yeah. Same here. It was trippy because the house got warm, and for those who don't know, may or may not know, but I'm taking care of my grandmother, and my grandmother has, because she's blind, she has pinpoint accuracy when it comes to the temperature, and she can tell when it raises like a degree or two, and she, nailed it. She was like, "It's hot here." And I was like, "You think so?" She said, "Yes, it's gotten warmer." And sure enough, the temperature was up because it was 75 outside. So it was like up 1 degree. And I was like, that's incredible.
Yeah, that's one thing.
Incredible.
That's one thing that I've noticed over the past, really since I've been in college. In February, there's always a day or two that'll hit 70, 75 degrees just randomly. Yeah. And it may snow that week. We got snow in the forecast for next week.
Yeah, same here.
I think it's supposed to be 65 on Saturday.
Same here, but today is 70. The high is supposed to be 77, and it's 66 right now. And that is your Bleav. And that's your Bleav in ACC weather report.
So I think the temperatures you got today is what we're getting on Saturday, but we're also getting more storms on Saturday.
I don't know what we're getting Saturday. I think we're getting more 78-degree weather, and then it's supposed to drop to 44.
Yeah, yeah.
And once again, that is your Bleav in the ACC weather report. Meanwhile, Charlie is in Florida. It's nice every day. It's nice every day.
They just dug out from the snow themselves.
They actually may have. That actually may be true, because y'all have no equipment to dig out of snow, do you?
No. Things got shut down for 3 days because of it.
And it was what, like 4 inches or something like that?
Bro, we didn't have that much. It was more so ice that shut everything down here.
Listen.
But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, guys, people enjoyed 3 days off from school. Work was like maybe one or 2 days, but everybody enjoyed it.
Pastor Cord, who is the official pastor of Noise Media and Entertainment, also lives in Georgia. So he's coming in hot this morning with the shade. And yes, while we were gone, Louisville let one go to Georgia Tech. Let one go to Georgia Tech, Pastor Cord. Let's be clear. But you're right.
Georgia Tech's been playing well.
They have. They won last night. Came back and won. I thought they were going to lose that game last night. Yeah. And they somehow figured out a way to win that one last night. So yeah, Georgia Tech is on a hot streak.
Yeah, they played well that game. They got out and pressured the ball on Louisville, and U of L got up by 14 points, and I think they kind of cruised, and Georgia Tech kept fighting. And for his question, yes, Rain Smith did score yesterday. He scored 6 points.
But that's not to take away from the game last night. Everybody's holding their breath on how Chucky Hepburn is doing. And I don't know, Kendrick, it's so early. Have you heard anything, or is there any?
After the game, Kelsey said that the trainer told him he couldn't go back into the game. That Chucky couldn't go back into the game. But I mean, if you looked at the sideline, Chucky was laughing and joking and everything.
Okay, so he's probably okay.
I think he's probably okay. They play Miami on Saturday at home, so they should be okay if he's not 100%. And
right, they may sit him just sit him just for the long haul journey.
Yeah, because I think it was a groin injury. They haven't said specifically what the injury was, but he grabbed that area, and so
yeah. And by the way, I have never, having worked in universities and colleges for a considerable time in my life, I have never understood how they work around FERPA with that.
Right.
Because technically these are college students, and you are not allowed to share their medical information. But I guess athletics is the one place where that's not true. So I don't know.
Hey, to me, I think it's crazy that we release people's salaries in athletics anyway.
That is also
and I think that's a lot of the disconnect with the public when it comes to athletics, professional sports, and now pro college sports. Because I'm like, yeah, they make a lot of money, but like, you see what they made on Friends, but we don't get those numbers. We don't know how much Jennifer Aniston made on Friends.
Well,
toward the end, a lot of money.
Toward the end, we did. It was like starting, I think, in season 7 or 8, it was like $1 million an episode. So
right, but like,
and it went up 500,000 every year. So there you go.
But it wasn't as published and wasn't as acknowledged.
Not at all.
Athletes.
Not at all.
I think that's part of where the disconnect comes from.
Absolutely, 100%. But that's not really the story that we're starting with today, because we're gonna have some fun today. Something relatively significant happened. Florida State is changing forever because Coach Leonard Hamilton, decided, I'm good. I'm going to the house. And this is my last season. By the way, kudos to him. What a phenomenal career it has been for him. The selfish part of me would love to see him end up in somebody's booth. I think he would be. I would love to hear his mind on a Saturday morning in an analyst type situation. Not necessarily calling a game, but like I think he would offer something interesting and different next to a Jay Williams or somebody like that, where he just be like, I don't know. He just strikes me as somebody that I want to listen to. But there's somebody on our show that probably knows him much better than Kendrick and I. The great Charlie Ward. Charlie, what are your thoughts? What are your feelings? What are your hopes as it relates to Florida State basketball?
Well, I mean, I wasn't really shocked, but I'm just grateful that I had an opportunity to, of course, learn and grow a lot from Coach Ham, being here at Florida State, and then me being here the past 7 years in Tallahassee. Getting a chance to go over and pick his brain and talk to him about different things. It's always a great blessing to be able to have a guy with a wealth of knowledge. And he's old school, just like a lot of us are, who grew up in a certain time frame, and we've seen a lot of change, just in a lot of different ways. And I'm just happy that he was able to go out, on his own terms, unlike Coach Bowden, who made it difficult for Florida State by not just doing what Coach Ham did, which was going out on his own. But it will. The school has benefited for having Coach Ham. I mean, he's been here forever. He has built the program back to prominence over the years. We had some good runs while we were in school, but there were some down times shortly after. But then he came along, and so I do believe Florida State will continue to build upon his legacy with the next coach. I'm sure they have some great candidates. I know a couple of them in a way that will, that's in the mix. And so I trust A.D. Alford to make the right decision, whatever that decision is, or whomever they bring in to help the school get back to being a competitive group in the ACC, and then nationally, of course, as well. So I'm optimistic. I mean, these last couple of years have been tough, in a lot of ways. But I think it's something that they can continue to build on.
And are you at a place where you can share who a couple candidates are, or you got to keep that under wraps?
We'll ask it this way: are there any candidates that you might have a preference to? Names that you've heard?
Well, I mean, it's not anything secret.
Okay.
I mean, they put out their candidates that potentially could be, and so my two favorite are CY Young, who's an assistant at Florida State for a good portion of Coach Ham's tenure. He's an assistant now at Missouri, associate head coach there. And then one of my former teammates, Sam Cassell.
I like that one
as well. So I think, and I'm sure there'll be other guys that meet the criteria.
There is a name that people are going to ask for, though, and they're already asking for it in the chat right now.
No.
Charlie makes that answer really quick.
Not even if asked. Not even if asked. No. If he said
no.
If A.D. Alford came and said, Charlie, we need you, and if he said it this way, if he hold on, if he said it this way,
well, I'm just going. There's no
way. There's no way to ask the question.
No, there's no way to ask the question. And I'm telling you, no. I gave you the guys that I Bleav can help the program move forward, and I'll help them however need be.
But coach, there's one guy working with the high school system right now. It will be a seamless transition. He's already got his hands in the pipeline. It's a seamless transition. This guy works with high school players in the summer every year. It's a seamless transition.
No.
Charlie's like, I'm good. How many times I gotta tell you, I'm good.
It's the flatness for me. It's the flatness for me. No,
I already told you, I will support those guys, those guys, and if they decide to go a different direction, I'll support whoever they bring in. So that is my take.
Charlie, sometimes I have to do that for the people in the back and the stubborn people who are absolutely going to come. I knew it was a no before I asked the question, but I just have to help the people that don't understand that. Charlie is very, very satisfied with his life, and he is not trying to chase anything anymore, except for his love of Jesus. And by the way, I don't know where I've been, but can I talk about the center? Can we just take a few minutes to talk about the center? The dream? I think we should, Charlie. Yes. That is huge. Are you familiar with this, Kendrick?
I don't know what
Champions Ranch? Oh, Charlie, you got to talk about the champ. This is massive. This is what Charlie wants to do.
The Champions Ranch. We are talking about the Champions Ranch today? This is where champions will be built. From the inside out.
Okay.
It's a campus we're looking to build here in town. So.
See, this is where I need your wife, because she would really tell. Charlie, you're trying to build it. You're trying to get people to come in and give. And come on, you gotta. Okay, you know what? We're gonna make time on this show, because this is our show. We can do whatever we want. We're gonna make time on this here show to talk about the Champions Ranch. Obviously, I caught you off guard a little bit, but we're going to get with the wife, figure out a good time. We're going to interview the two of you so you can talk about this, so we can help you put this thing out there for whoever needs to hear it. Because you never know where your blessings are coming from, Charlie. So we got to talk about it. We got to talk about it. This is a huge deal. Yeah. Listen, under different circumstances, Kendrick, this is such a big deal. I would absolutely be humble flexing them. But because of what this is, I can't humble flex them. It's just that good.
I'll share more information with you guys so that you can so you can understand what it is, Kendrick.
Because I saw it and I was like, I got to figure out how I can help. I don't know how I can help, but I got to figure out how I can help. So we'll figure it out. But that's another thing altogether.
We need a billionaire to help us.
Well, it's interestingly enough, I happen to know one, Charlie. I happen to know one. We both know one, Kendrick and I. So
yes, we do.
maybe we can. I think the two of you would get along tremendously well. So
you both have an NBA past.
So give us. That's what I'm saying. I wanted to put something together.
Oh yeah.
So we can have a conversation. See, Charlie, we're working it this morning. We're working. Okay. All right.
He has a name. We have the same name.
Yeah.
You do. You actually do.
Coach Junior.
You actually do. You actually do. So this is gonna work out. This should work out pretty good. Yeah. So okay. I just had to get that because when I saw it, I was like, well, we talked about this, but I got really excited because I love stuff like that. So
Rev, don't let Charlie's humbleness fool you.
Well, I mean, it is.
There's a reason why we have a humble. There is a reason why we have a humble flex button.
Right. It is awesome. It is awesome, but it is also wildly entertaining. That's our guy. We love Charlie. Okay. So again, 23 phenomenal years for Coach Ham. I mean, class personified. I just
And
can't
not
wait
to
to see.
mention, and
Yeah.
don't ever forget that Coach Ham was the first black assistant coach ever hired at the
Right.
University of Kentucky in 1974.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that,
that's right. That's right. That gets
yeah,
lost
so
sometimes.
he's
Yeah.
always has that connection to the state of Kentucky. And so like when he stepped down, I mean, it was on every news station in Kentucky because of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so a great career, and congratulations to him to, like Charlie said, to be able to go out on his own.
Well, let's be clear. He has a solid resume.
Yeah.
He's the man. The man has done. He's had some good times.
And he doesn't age.
He does not age. He looks exactly the same as he looked 20 years ago. So there you go. There's that. Okay. Anyway, had to get that going. Listen, we would be remiss. We've talked. Yes, Louisville's doing their doing. Duke is playing great. Clemson's doing okay. They'll rebound from the other night. We got it. But listen, sometimes as a show, there's so much going on in the world that you just have to pivot and talk about some other stuff.
It's deadline day.
This is that time. So there's no way we would be able to come on today and just talk ACC because my God in heaven, madness has ensued upon the earth in the realm of sports.
I mean, one guy is an ACC guy from Duke.
That is true.
Very
Is
true.
very, very true. Well, actually, two guys.
And he's going to your team.
I was gonna say, what? Yeah, one guy's going to my team, the other's going to Toronto. But it's wild out there in these sports streets right now. So
Oh yeah,
Why-
they're both from
why
the
would-
same school.
they're both from the same school. So what we can do is kind of go through these one by one. We don't have to go all details, but we'll go by one by one as they have unfolded.
There may be stuff happening in real time while we're on here because the deadline
Really?
is not for another
Right.
few hours.
Yeah, there's still time. There's still time. Okay. So when we last left you,
Previously,
there was
on Bleav
previously on Bleav in the ACC. There was complete chaos in the world in that Jimmy Butler had turned the world upside down. I've got to go to Phoenix. I got to be there. I'm rejecting everybody because I got to go to Phoenix. That's just how it is. And that carried us into Saturday. And then Saturday came, and Saturday was a beautiful day. The birds were chirping. It was relatively.
John Calipari was back in Lexington.
John Calipari was back in Lexington. There was Duke, North Carolina. It was a really fun day. The Royal Rumble, if you like wrestling, was going on. There was some really cool storylines there. All was right and normal in the world until about 11:15 at night. And then suddenly, pure chaos ensued with the Lakers and the Dallas Mavericks when, for some unbeknownst reason to anybody other than the two of them, Nico Harrison decided, they don't need a generational player anymore. We'll trade you Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis. Huh? And from there, it's been the wild, wild west. So, Luka Doncic, Anthony Davis. Then after that, it was, let me see if I can keep up because it's been a lot of stuff.
De'Aaron
I'm
Fox
just gonna
to
keep
the Spurs.
De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs, Zach LaVine to the Sacramento Kings, Jonas Valanciunas to the Sacramento Kings. Don't really understand that one. Then the Golden State Warriors said, we will not be outdone. And they got on the phone and called everybody. And people kept hanging up the phone. We don't want to do it. And then for some reason, Phoenix said, what do you want to do? Well, we want Kevin Durant back. And Kevin Durant was like, I ain't going back there. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
So then at about 8:44 last night, desperation started to set in for Miami because the closer you get to that deadline day, the more panicky you kind of get. And so they decided we got to get something. We can't have Jimmy back in this building. So they called Golden State up again and said, let's try this again. We'll let you talk directly to Jimmy. Maybe you guys can figure it out. Jimmy said, hey, I don't want to be there. They said, well, what if we give you the extension? I don't want to be there. He said, what if we give you a few more million than you were making now? What are we talking? 2 years, 111 million. I'll be there tomorrow. And so Jimmy Butler is now going to Golden State for Andrew Wiggins, Dennis Schroeder, and Kyle Anderson. But actually, that deal is way more complicated than that because it's a 5-team deal, and there are a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah, Schroeder ended up in Utah, but I believe the
Right.
interesting thing to me is that Golden State was able to pull that off and still keep Kuminga.
And still keep
That
well
was the
for
most
now.
valuable. Well,
For now, let's
There's they if they get Vucevic from Chicago, most likely Kuminga.
Right. Stay tuned. For now, that's what they've done. Okay, so then
Is it Vucevic is the center?
yeah, for Chicago because they're having a fire sale, except for Lonzo Ball, who just got a 2-year, $20 million extension. Now, I thought about that, Kendrick, after I heard it, and I said,
I'm
maybe
happy for him. You know, I'm a big Lonzo fan.
Well, here's what I think, though. That might not be for him. That might be for where he's going. So stay tuned on that as well. I can see him signing that, and that's the deal that, he gets to carry out the door. Because keeping him, that makes no sense. But whatever. That's where we are right now.
But the thing is, it's the Bulls, so we're used to them doing stuff that makes
The
sense.
Bulls are wild. They're a wild bunch. So it could be for them. We'll see.
Jordan Poole is just got to. He's walking into the Washington locker room like Fresh Prince on the last episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah. He could be the last man standing for sure. I forgot to mention Kyle Kuzma headed to Milwaukee in exchange for Chris Middleton. Let's see. Brandon Ingram is now headed. This is what Charlie was alluding to earlier. Well, one of the things Charlie was alluding to earlier. Brandon Ingram was headed to New Orleans. Toronto. He's headed to Toronto from New Orleans. And then last night, the Lakers, who we thought they weren't done, didn't know that this was in play. A young center who has quietly been playing extremely well in Charlotte, Mark Williams, is now the centerpiece of a trade for Lakers, and the Lakers only had to give up their all-star forward Dalton Connect from Tennessee. So, along with Cam
all rookies, not say all-star.
All rookie. Arguably the rookie of the year, maybe. Or at least in the conversation.
Might be in the conversation, I think.
Yeah. Although I think that's gone now because he'll go to Charlotte, and I don't know what'll happen there. But so that's where we are as of 9:34 Eastern time.
The odd thing is, but we've said it about Charlotte multiple times. When whatchamacallit comes back, Miller from Alabama, if he comes back next year, they do have a solid core with Miller, Ball, and Connect.
Right.
But
that's not bad.
But it's still Charlotte.
But before we get into all of the right, I can't argue with that either. But before we get into all of the trades, I have a very specific question for Charlie because he's lived through this. How stressful is the trade deadline experience?
I mean, it's how to put it in layman's terms as far as I think is it's like when you know you have a deadline to meet at work,
mm-hmm.
and you know that there's going to be scrutiny on what you're doing and where you're currently located or your situation before that deadline. And it's just that type of scrutiny. Like, you still have to do your work. and you still have to be efficient. You still have to be on top of it, but it's that scrutiny of I got to meet this deadline or this deadline is
Mm,
coming,
Hmm.
and
yeah.
so it's really the same. Like except outside of you may be going to a different place, but just the scrutiny of I got to meet the deadline, or so, and people are going to be on my back, up
Hmm.
until that time. But when the deadline comes and you're still where you are, I mean, and even during that time, you still have to perform at a high level. Like,
Hmm.
it's not that's the goal is to continue to perform. And I've been in that situation before, especially in New York. I was traded a lot, but ended up playing 9.5 seasons there because people that were in the front office and the coaches believed in what I brought to the team, and I was grateful for that. But then the time came when there's new management, and they decided they want to go a different direction, and we got traded to
Charlie,
Phoenix.
Charlie, is it slavery as spoken by Dennis Schroeder? Is similar to slavery?
Um, I, don't, I mean, maybe in his case, because he's been traded a lot.
I think it's the third time
But
he's been traded this year, isn't
yeah,
it?
but I, I,
I
I
thought the
think
slavery comments were a little out of line,
yeah,
personally,
they
if I'm
are.
being honest.
I mean,
Yeah,
they are. I mean,
yeah.
th- that yeah,
Coming
that's
from
that
somebody from France.
yeah. I mean, I kind of understand what he's trying to say.
Hmm.
It's not the literally what the people went through when it came to slavery part, but just
That that's my point, Charlie. I
yeah,
settle down with the slavery. Come
I
on
yeah.
now.
mean,
I think
I mean, as devil's advocate, I mean, I don't think Charles kind of saying the same thing. I mean, they were traded.
That
yeah,
in the literal sense, yes,
I
but
yeah,
mean,
not in the my wife
yeah.
is raped and
yeah,
we're hung and
Correct.
beaten
yeah,
sense. That's
yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
slavery is the absolute wrong term to
right,
use.
correct.
right,
Yeah,
I agree with that.
right,
right.
That's
yes,
especially in this day and age.
right.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's all I'm
but
saying.
yeah,
You gotta be a little more
that's
sensitive to your terminology.
that's definitely the
It's in
wrong
the second
word
language.
used. But I understand his thought process as
I
far as
do.
being traded
Yeah.
multiple times and them not really having a say so in the deal and what have you. However, in this day and age, I mean, most athletes have to say so when their contract's
Hmm.
up. And, the good thing about it is,
Miles
especially in
Garrett.
basketball, I mean, you have a choice, you have free agency,
Hmm.
but also the contracts are guaranteed. And so if someone's going to pay me, for 4 years or 3 years or 5 years, whatever it is, for me to do something I enjoy doing,
Right.
I don't like the fact that I'm going different places. I
Right.
definitely don't like
Hmm.
that because it's tough on a family, especially if you have a family.
And
Hmm.
I
Uh,
totally understand that part.
And Charlie,
And
that's why I
yeah,
wanted to ask you is like the human side of that when you do get traded, especially mid season, because it's a lot more that people don't even think about that goes into it, like pulling kids out of school and all that stuff. So what's the human side of that?
well, you normally don't pull your kids out of school
Okay.
in the middle of the season. When we got traded to Phoenix, but they waived us after that, and we ended up going to San Antonio. Our kids were younger.
Hmm.
You know, daughter Hope was like 6 months or 8 months or whatever it was, and Caleb was like 2.5 or 3, and
Hmm.
so they were younger, and so we were able to move them in the middle of the season because they weren't in school. Um, but I most people don't move their kids.
right.
Either the wife or whomever will stay back until they get it figured out because you
Hmm.
never know. But I mean, I sit and think about the opportunities that you have, and yes, it's very challenging. But there are people who do the same thing in the real world. It's challenging for certain people to move, whatever that move looks like, if
Hmm.
whether it's during the middle of this year or afterwards.
Hmm.
But the key to it all is, man, I mean, some people stay and they're on the team for, the year or 5 years or however long it is.
Yeah.
And there are people always in the middle. Some are worse off than you. Like
Hmm.
you have a gig, but there's people out there who are willing to, you know, be in your spot, where you
Yeah.
can have a chance to play. And there are guys who are hustling right now to try to get in the NBA.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's always someone worse off than you, and you just have to continue to be professional about it and know that at one point you're gonna be like me. I mean, there's a lot of retired players,
Hmm.
Yeah.
um, and that time that we had in the NBA, yes, it's very stressful and challenging in a lot of different ways, but it's a short period of time in your life. And so you just have
Hmm.
to enjoy those moments, regardless of what they look like. Yes, it's going to be challenges. Everyone has challenges and things that they have to work through and make out. But man, I mean, NBA, NFL, professional sports, not everybody get that opportunity.
Hmm.
I want to ask Pastor Cord's second question first, then we'll go back to his first question. He said the mental emotional side of trades and the stress that it puts on a marriage. Is it is it pretty significant? I would imagine it's pretty significant, especially in a player. And Kendrick, you hit it right on the head, like a Dennis Schroeder, who has been traded twice or three times this year. Like, you're trying to figure out, okay, do I take my family? What do I, now his
Well,
situation is a little different because I think he's got really young kids, so maybe they have a little bit more flexibility in the movement part of it for his wife to go. Maybe they can get an apartment or whatever. But, but, gosh, when you got school age kids, I can only imagine, like you just said, how challenging that could be.
so I'll give you a scenario. I have a friend of mine who's a G League head coach currently, and he was with us in Houston. He was like a video guy, uh, coach's video, and then he moved to the bench. And he's been all over the place. Not all, but he's been few spots, and he's currently with the 76ers now in their G League team.
Hmm.
Well, he was in Cleveland for a minute, and that's where his wife and kids settled, because they like the school that they're in, and they worked out the fact that this is where he's going to be. This is his life, and they worked out that they were going to stay in Cleveland to finish out
Wow.
their girls schooling.
Hmm.
And so I think it depends on the marriage one, because when you're in the professional ranks, it's kind of what you sign up for. Like, I
Right.
Yeah.
mean, you
Right.
kind
You
of
know they're
know,
going in. Yeah.
right? You know that's a part of the whole deal. And like I always tell people, you gotta just remember your why. Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And so when marriages don't last, the why gets uh, taken a different route, especially
Yeah.
if things start going up and down. I mean, I had quite a few friends. I had a guy who came to training camp multiple years, great guy, but he knew he was never going to make a team.
Oh wow.
But he came out of training camp not every year, but he came a few years, and we became good friends. He was a Christian brother. Had a wife and kids as well, and I mean, he's not he's not chasing anymore. I mean, he's older, but he found his way. But I just think it depends on the family dynamic, and yeah, it's a mental stress, but is no more mental than anything else that people are have to go through when they have to make decisions, on the fly when new people are in town, or you have to move, or whatever the case may be. But I just tell people, man, hey, just you have to enjoy where you are. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't enjoy it, it becomes very stressful. Yes, and what you do, I should say, and all the moving parts. Um, it's going to be stressful regardless.
And then to the second question, where he says how much control do players have where they are traded, we can answer that for you. None.
And well, it depends on the player.
Well,
It depends on
now,
the player. Exactly.
Jimmy
well,
Butler had control somewhat.
hold on. No, it doesn't. Because we just saw Luka Doncic just get traded. So now it's there. I agree. I think Steph said it best. There are a few players that the percentages are pretty 99.98%. They're not going anywhere. Maybe Steph Curry.
Joker.
I guess LeBron. Jokic is not going anywhere. Right.
For some reason, Bradley Beal.
For some odd reason, Bradley Beal is in that conversation.
A lot of them have no trade clauses as well.
I know.
So. Right.
Yeah, Charlie Lloyd and I got a good laugh out of that yesterday because we were like, how does Bradley Beal have a no trade clause, but Luka Doncic didn't?
I don't think Nikola Jokic has a no trade clause.
Shout out to Bradley Beal's agent because that man, he needs to be getting a bigger cut than whatever the agent cut is. Because Bradley Beal to have a no trade over Luka Doncic and Djokovic, it's crazy.
Well, as we transition, let's be clear. I would argue that Bradley Beal's no trade clause is the single-handed reason why Phoenix can't get a deal done with any of their players now.
That's why Jimmy Butler's in Golden State. That's
why Jimmy Butler is in Golden State, and that's why Kevin Durant is still in Phoenix, as well as Bradley Beal. They cannot get a trade done because that is an albatross sitting in their franchise
I do think KD's in Phoenix because he wants to be in Phoenix.
Well,
if KD wanted to get out, he can get out.
Well, there's that too, but I'm saying as an organization, they can't move him because it's just too difficult to move him out and bring somebody in, and you still got Bradley Beal sitting on the. And by the way, I got to ask this question too, Charlie. How do you repair that if you're Phoenix?
But they've been playing okay.
Now let me say.
What?
Well, they spent the better part of the last 2 weeks telling Bradley Beal we don't want you anymore. And by the way, the deadline's not up yet. It's still not till 3:00 this afternoon. So maybe something will emerge by the end of the day where Bradley Beal is no longer a Sun. We'll see. But as of right now, their whole team is still their team. Man. And how do you repair that? How do you walk that back if you're Phoenix?
I mean, like I said, you hear people say they understand business.
Okay.
That's what it is. Like,
okay.
You have to be professional about it, and you have to continue to go out and compete at a high level because you're still there. And of course, they're human just like everyone else. I mean, you have your feelings and those types of things, but you still have to go out and work through all of that. And they have people that you can talk all this stuff out now, sports psych and all those different avenues that you can talk these things out better, I should say. And you're still there. Like, that's still your job. And you have to rise above that.
And I feel like, I don't know how much you've seen Phoenix since all this has been going on, but when I watch Bradley Beal's body language, he doesn't seem like he's really affected by it at all. He's out there. I see him cheering on his teammates, and he's dapping everybody up before and after the game, and he seems fine. It's just,
I mean, like I said,
he's making $50 million, so he's definitely fine.
$50 million? You think you got Chelsea Clinton?
That's great. That was a great line, Charlie. That's a great line.
But I mean, but you can usually see it, and we've all seen it. So Charlie's seen it. You've seen it go the other way, where somebody's in trade. Every time you turn on the TV, you're in the paper. You're about talking about trading you, and they can affect your spirit. I mean, honestly, it's human nature for it to affect your spirit, but it doesn't like it has with Bradley Beal. I mean, I know I've been clowning him because he has a no trade clause, but I mean, I've watched Phoenix play quite a few times since all this has gone on, and just watching him play, if you watch them play, it doesn't seem like there's a chemistry issue. It's why it's so weird that talking about trading him so much because it doesn't seem like a chemistry issue. It's not working, but it's not working because of Bradley Beal's work. It's not working because they don't have a bench.
Right, they don't have a bench. And it was what we all said was going to happen anyway at the beginning of the
Well,
season. It's not going to
well,
work.
it's not working because they don't have chemistry in the front office.
Right.
That's
I'm just a big
also a great
believer that I'm a big believer that God honors our heart, and if your heart is in the wrong place, I mean, you're making decisions and your heart is in the wrong place. Uh, I mean, the chemistry in front office is off, and so it's a trickle down effect.
Yeah.
So I just think they're gonna struggle, regardless of who's there.
Mm.
Um,
Well, again,
and
they've got to 3 o'clock today, so we'll see.
I tell you, the person I feel sorry for in all this is D Book, and I'm partial
Yeah.
because I
Right.
covered him when he was at Kentucky, but he's
Yeah.
a great kid,
right.
and he's out there, he's playing his heart. I mean, dude's already the all time leading scorer in franchise history, and a franchise has been a good franchise over the years, and so I just he doesn't you don't hear him pouting. And he gets into it with people on the floor all the time, which is sort of funny. But when you talk to the kid, but
Yeah,
it's like
light-skinned kid.
this dude's fighting with people, but he just goes out there, puts on his hard hat, and goes out there and balls out every night, no matter what's going on outside of the court. And so you just wonder, he's seen. I mean, he has
But
Kevin
Kendrick,
Durant, Chris Paul has been there. I mean, they was just in the finals not that long ago, and he almost has a totally different roster around him from when he went to the finals. Is what 3-4 years ago.
but Kendrick, to your point, everybody has a threshold, and I wonder how much stress and frustration is it to feel what he's feeling when every year you think you got stability, and Charlie's point as well, you think you got stability, you think you finally figured it out, now we can start to build something, and then they want to change it again. At what point does he say to management, I can't do this anymore, I'm going to need a trade? And that is, and so back to coming full circle to Pastor Core's question, how much control do players have? They have the control of the level of ability that they have in the league. So D Book is an all-star. D Book is a franchise
He's on a Hall of
level.
Fame trajectory.
He's on a Hall of Fame trajectory. He's a franchise type player. He has some leverage. So if he wants to say to management at some point, now I don't think he'll do it this season, but it would not shock me if at the end of the season he says, "Hey guys, this has been fun, but I think I need
It's been real.
need a new I need a new zip code." That would not shock me at all. In fact, at this point, I almost expect it.
As
If
a
I'm being
Memphis
honest.
Grizzly fan, I would be very welcoming to, to a Devin Booker, John Morant backcourt, and Desmond Bain 3-guard backcourt.
Listen. There will be a line around the corner for suitors for Devin Booker. I can promise you that. If he were to pull that trigger, and I think he knows that. I think he understands his circumstances. So, and again, at some point, I can honestly see that kid going, I can't do this anymore. Just like De'Aaron Fox. I get it. I know you tried, but I've sat here and watched you botch this up year after year after year. I can't watch it anymore.
So
And it, yeah.
so I mean, let me transition a little bit from
Sure.
the NBA,
Okay.
but let's think about the mental health of the student who decides that they don't want to be at a school any longer.
Mhm.
Mm.
And we're talking about the NBA getting traded and all these, those types of things. But the student who decides, or the coach that decides for the student that they're going to move in a different direction and they
Mm-hmm.
have to jump and move to different places. Mm, that's very similar.
It
When you
is.
start talking about
It's
mental
semi,
health,
and you're talking about a younger person too.
correct.
Yeah.
And so I just think moving anywhere in general is stressful.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Uh, you're going into a whole new situation. I mean, you're going, you got to learn new offense. Um, uh, You got new surroundings, and so I just think when there's movement, consistent movement, you still have to make quality decisions. Like who are you going to be? You know, wherever you go,
Yeah.
is always the key, and so it's mental grinding all the time if you have that type of movement in any business.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You know, you think about. I have a friend who's in sales. I mean, this joker's had like 20 jobs
Yeah.
in like 20 years
Yeah.
Wow.
at
Wow.
different places,
Hmm.
and so
Wow.
just the mental grind on um, people who just move consistently, whether it's their choice or someone else's choice. I think it's a mental grind that you have to navigate through and work through, of course, with other people. But that's part of, could possibly be part of like the job.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one part that like people I know that have corporate jobs like management and stuff. They move around all the time,
Right.
and I was like, the real world's much different from the goofy world I live in. Because
Hundred percent.
my world it's similar to the athlete's world. Is like a lot of times you get to a team and you're there, and like,
Yeah.
but you might move around, but there's plenty that move around. You know what I mean? But like the real world, like in corporate America, like
Hmm.
these cats be in high paying jobs and
Yes.
somebody just come and pay them more money
Correct.
all the time. I hear about it all the time. It's amazing to me.
Hmm.
Well,
I'm like, why
I
am I
believe
doing what I'm doing?
I believe it was I believe it was the prophet Christopher Wallace that said it's more money and more problems.
Right.
Uh, so I think that is very very true. But on the fun fan side of this, Kendrick and Charlie, what trade has caught your eye the most so far, or
Well, I'm
trades plural?
I'm just happy for the Miami Heat because I'm just not I'm kind of old school in this way. Um, Man, I mean, you have to be professional about
Right.
what you do,
Yeah.
and I just have a hard time when athletes or anyone, I should just say, when they feel like, man, I don't want to be here, so I'm just gonna act, throw a tantrum.
Hmm.
Right. Right.
To show my point, I'm just gonna throw a tantrum. Um, and I'm gonna walk out on my teammates because I'm having riffraff with upper management, and not saying that either one was right or wrong. I don't know where that lies, but just the way you go about your business. And this has
Hmm.
happened multiple times. And the crazy part is people still want you.
It
Like,
works out for
and so
them.
so you sit and think about the kids, or as adults, people like that. You're like, man, how do they continue to get that way when they act that way?
But you know
Especially
what,
at his
Charlie?
age and where he is in his career. It's amazing that it still works.
But you know what? That is actually an important point that needs to be highlighted more, because it only works. The kid will only throw the temper tantrum if the parent caves one time and buys them what they're throwing the temper tantrum for. Well, with Jimmy, it worked to get out of Minnesota. It worked to get out of Chicago. It worked. It has worked every single time.
The only time he hasn't done this is in Philly, and that's
Right.
because they traded him before it could happen.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So if the worst part of it is that the strategy has been successful. Like
That's
it's
the worst
successful
part.
this time. It's
Yeah.
successful this time. It got him 111 million dollars, which I'm not sure anybody else would have paid that. But there's
Right.
always someone that's desperate
They can think
that
they can change.
that
They can
think they
change.
can change him. Uh,
Yeah, like this whole time this stuff has been going on, I have thought about you, Charles. I know how much of a professional you are, and I was like, Charlie can't like this.
no, 100%. And to be
This acting a fool.
Wow.
Yeah,
if we're being honest, I'm not sure anybody likes this, up to and including the Warriors. This is not the way they wanted to obtain Jimmy Butler, but also the Warriors are kind of in a desperate situation because they know the clock is ticking on Steph's career. They got to do something, and if they don't do something, then they've wasted the backside of his career. So, and it's already out there that they've called the entire league and gotten hung up on. So they feel a sense of desperation to the point where they say, "Let's just try this." So as long as it works, people are going to do it.
The thing with Jimmy, it works the first year. He's fine the first year. He was fine. He's fine in Miami. He was, he was only in Philly for 1 year. Worked great.
But did he walk out of Philly too?
Huh?
Did he walk out on Philly?
Yeah, he worked out in Philly, and they got rid of him before the crazy could show up.
Right. They actually let him go. Their way of letting him go was just to say, "We're probably not going to resign you."
But when that was when Doc was there, right?
Was Doc in Philly then? I think
Yes.
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 I think he
Doc
had
had actually
issues.
just been hired, I think.
I think he had issues with Jimmy. Oh no, I'm thinking about being the guy that doesn't shoot.
Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons.
Well, that's a whole nother conversation. I'm surprised he hasn't been moved either, if I'm being honest.
Who wants
Where
him?
is he now?
Well, he's still in Brooklyn
right?
for now.
Is he playing?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to call it that. He showed the roster. He showed.
The fact that man is still in the league is amazing.
That is true. He's ACC.
Shout out to the ACC.
No, he's
right?
he's LSU.
Nah, he's
LSU.
LSU.
He's LSU. He's LSU. That's right.
That's a modern marvel that he is still in the league. We're making a whole lot of money too.
Yeah,
that's why he's still in the league, is because he's of his contract.
I think I'm happy for Brandon Ingram. Not necessarily for where he's going.
But
for the fact that he kind of gets a chance to get away from that situation, because that's a stressful situation too. And it's a stressful for a different reason. Like Kendrick and I were talking about this on our new podcast, which Charlie, you gotta make some time for us because we want to have you on this podcast. It's a full NBA show now.
It's right up your ALLEY.
That's right. That's right. And we'll talk about that off the air. But I think we can, have you on and make it work for you. But anyway, the thing that's interesting about that situation is that it's a different kind of stress, because I don't think New Orleans has gotten it wrong in the sense of what they brought in or even how they've constructed the team. It just hasn't worked because the main piece hasn't worked. And so that's stressful of a different nature, because you built it to do a certain thing and become a certain thing, and you can't get the main piece out the starting gate.
Right.
So Brandon gets to go somewhere and redefine himself, and him and Scotty Barnes together, that could be interesting.
Yeah, him, Scotty Barnes, and RJ Barrett together. That's a decent nucleus. And then my guy Emmanuel Quickly up there too. I don't know. It's Toronto is just like kind of there. And so we'll see what they do. They just are kind of there. I am happy for Brandon Ingram just because he's put together a decent season this year despite being benched last year. And so hopefully his new beginnings, new voices and all that stuff will help him with his career. I am interested to see what happens with Zion. Does New Orleans move on from him, or do they continue to try to build around him? What happens with CJ McCollum?
Let's ask Charlie. Charlie, you have Zion Williams who has not fulfilled most of the things you thought he would fulfill. Now you could decide who blame should be assigned to. That's up to you. But at some point, don't you have to reset if you're New Orleans? Or what would you do?
Well, I'm surprised they didn't pull the Luca deal
Mm.
um, with Zion because I mean he hadn't shown before. I guess this year, I think he got in much better shape this year than he's been in the past. Um, so maybe that was a detractor for them, you know, trading him to another team. I, I I don't know. They're in the dumpster this year because and they've had a slew of injuries
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that's hampered them. So past years they at least been playoff contention. This year's an outlier in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
but building around Zion, I mean, I can see it, especially if he's going to take work to take care of his body. But that is to remain to be seen if it's going to be just a 6 month or 8 month deal, or if it's going to be long term. If he's developed some good habits. Um, but again, it's another franchise. I mean, Coach Green has been there for maybe 4 years now, whatever the number is. That's probably longer than what they've probably had before uh, with the struggling franchise. But are they going to stick with him? Or are they going to move and do something different? I mean, he's
I,
not the issue, but
At this point, they might be doing him a favor. Moving on.
yeah,
It's,
that's what I'm saying. Like they probably need to move,
right.
because I don't know. I think they have good management. I think
I
Griffin
think
is
Griff's done
there,
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think
I
that
and
this
think Coach Green has
experiment.
done
I
fine.
think
It
he's
just
done a good
can't.
job with what he has. It's just
Yeah.
you never know who's going to play from day to day. You don't know if you have Zion from day to day, and
Those
so
guys.
let's just talk about ACC guy, the Murphy.
Yeah.
Murphy
hmm
has been balling here
Yeah.
yeah.
lately.
He's been playing great.
So
Actually, I'm surprised he's still there. They can get some pieces for him, some
especially the
picks
way
at
he's been
least.
playing.
Yeah, they can get some good picks for him.
See, that's what makes it interesting to me because they have enough pieces, and I definitely want to send thoughts and prayers to Dejounte Murray. That broke my heart because I love that kid. And I think he does things the right way. But they have enough pieces that I think if they could maybe shift Zion out and get whatever you can get for him at this time, then you got a nucleus that you can build around and maybe start to finally establish an identity and a culture in that team. Because to me, New
Because you can
Orleans
get a
could
high pick.
become, yeah, New Orleans could become a new Memphis in that it's a blue collar city that could become, they could grind out, they could build their own and grow and nurture some guys, and then all of a sudden you've got a team in 2-3 years that is competing for titles. Like I think there's that potential down there, but it's just hard when
Because
you've
I think
anchored yourself to a guy that is fluid when it comes to his health and
availability, yeah.
availability. Yeah,
Because
it's
I
weird.
wonder, because like, do you? If I'm Memphis, I'd make a play for him. It depends on what you had to give up.
Ah,
Because
Uh,
I mean, because
play for
what
who?
uh
for Zion,
for
you said
Zion.
for Zion, yeah.
I mean, you can always move Jaren Jackson to the 5 and let Zion play the 4. The floor is still open up,
Which I
uh,
think that's the position he should play.
and it's,
A traditional four.
yeah. So the floor is still open. And you're not clogging up the middle for Ja because like, Zion can play on the outside and drive too, and they got history. I mean, they play AAU ball. They
Play
grew up
AU
together.
together, yeah.
And so I wonder if they would make a play for him. I mean, what if you're New Orleans? Do you go? If you go ahead and clean house, maybe get the #1 pick and get Cooper Flag. If you can,
I mean, that's what I'm
still,
saying.
if you can still keep Murphy. Like like you were saying. I thought about that when you're saying that. It's like, yeah, you can kind of get a rebuild, build around a Cooper Flag, and have a Murphy there, and that's a pretty good start.
Tongue in cheek, real quick, Charlie. Tongue in cheek. The only challenge is the PTSD of drafting another Duke player.
Duke player #1,
right? Another Duke player who has potential.
This dude is different, though. I mean,
I think so too. Charlie.
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
Different.
Yeah.
I love Cooper Flag.
But the challenge for a team in the NBA is you can't tank. Like, they put in anti-tanking because if you have the worst record, that doesn't mean like in
you're not
football,
automatically going to get the
you're
first
not
pick.
automatically getting the first pick.
100%.
So
Yeah,
that is the challenge. Yeah, that's the challenge for the NBA. Is like you can't lose all your games, and you're guaranteed like the first pick, which makes it tough for them to do. So
poor Cooper Flag's going to end up in Charlotte.
I mean, wherever he goes.
They're going to be in the lottery.
No. Poor Cooper Flag's going to end up in Washington.
Oh God,
Lord. That would be even worse. Unfortunately,
I'm just saying. That's.
I mean, it's so funny looking at the Eastern Conference and the Western. The Western Conference, there's not really a bad team in it. The two worst teams in the league are both in the Eastern Conference.
They are brutal to watch too. They are brutal.
And you throw Brooklyn in that mix too. Charlotte and Washington. And then Brooklyn.
They actually played the other night, and that game was.
That game shouldn't even be on television.
They showed. Well, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Not even in the local markets.
Was it competitive?
Put it on the transistor radio.
I mean,
I'm sure it was competitive.
As competitive as a Washington Charlotte game can be. That's what it was. It was it must see TV? No, but it's just a rough situation.
That's one of those games. If you got the league pass and you pull up and you see that one, you're skipping right on past that one.
Unless you're working and you got the computer on and it's just there,
There's
white noise in the background.
Start watching Office reruns.
I love the Office. So that's not a hard sell for me. That's not a hard sell for me. So anyway, that's an interesting one for me. The Kyle Kuzma was interesting, Charlie. I don't know if it moves the needle for Milwaukee, but
Kyle Kuzma he's been playing well.
Been playing well on a bad team.
I understand.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to get the shots.
Yeah, I mean, on a bad team, you have to. Somebody has to play well. I mean, yeah, you know what I mean.
Your hope is somebody.
Yeah. If 48 minutes, you got to score some points.
But I always thought he was a quality player from the jump. I just thought he got full of himself in a little bit when he was with the Lakers. Trying to figure
somehow
out,
even more in Washington.
Trying to figure out, I'm better than, as opposed to just play. I'm one of.
Mm-hmm.
Just that mentality. And so I thought he was a good quality player. So
yeah,
I don't think he's a piece that puts Milwaukee over the top though, over like Cleveland, New York, or Boston.
Right.
Well, I mean, he's a big guard, or not say guard, but he's a big forward that can stretch the floor. He can shoot, right?
Yeah, he can shoot a little bit. Yeah, he can shoot. I mean, he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. I laugh at him. He's not a bad player. He's a good player, but I don't think he's a piece that puts them over the top.
So I think what Milwaukee's looking for is someone that's going to be healthy.
True, and he is that. He is available every night.
He's going to be available. That is also.
Chris Middleton, with him with all these injuries, I think they felt like he may not be there. He's in and out, and so they know in the building kind of what's going on. So I think for them it was more so having a guy that could be available that was very similar
Yeah.
To a Chris Middleton. So whether it puts him over the need, I think it's someone that they feel like they can depend on.
Right.
Chris had a rough 3 years. He's had a rough
Yeah.
3 years.
Yes. Ever since
Um,
they won the title, it feels like he's been hurt.
yeah. All right, y'all. We got to ask you because I tried to save it as long as I could, but the mega trade that shook up the world, Luka Doncic for AD. What were your thoughts to that trade?
I mean, everyone's talking about Luca and the untouchable and franchise. I mean, he's a very good player and he's a franchise player. And not being in the room, but just understanding why they did what they did. I think it was good for both teams, in some respect, and maybe it will help Luca refocus
Let me
his.
ask you a direct question to that point, because you're bringing up a great place to build that conversation. Was it the 345, the pending 345, or was it? Do you believe it was legitimately? We have concerns about his him being in shape and his health long term.
I think it was both.
You think it was both? Okay.
Yeah, I think it was both. And I think they took that into account when they started looking for the trade, or looking to move him. And so I do think it was both. And it's a shock that you get a player like a Luca, being traded,
Hmm.
especially in his prime years. Um, and I don't think it was more so they didn't want him. I think they just felt like they wanted to kind of move in a different direction where they are currently.
Hmm.
And I don't know, it's kind of unprecedented in a lot of ways. Well, it
Very.
is.
Very much
And
so.
and but I can understand. That's the reason why I said I was surprised that Zion Williamson
Right.
hadn't, because of his history of not being in shape, not being available, always injured. Um, and now you're trying to build around him, and it takes guts, as a GM, because
Yeah, your job's
you
on the
make
line.
you make that decision.
And
And
ownership. I want to give ownership credit for that too.
yeah, and so
That's
when you make
yeah.
that decision, you have to live with whatever results are. I mean, those choices we make anyway.
Yeah.
And so Nico Harris, I think it's Harris,
Hmm.
Yeah. Harrison. Yeah.
will have to live with this, but their rationale and thinking behind it feels like, I mean, they got AD. So I mean,
Right.
Luca is Luca.
Hmm.
He's good. But they didn't like he didn't get traded for just somebody
Right.
that
For nothing.
that's not
Right.
Like
Right.
a
good.
bus
Right.
pass. It's like so many
Right.
people are
Right.
acting like that, Charlie.
Yeah,
And I wanted to ask you about them. Like on the, they was like Dallas got fleeced. I'm like, how? I
yeah.
mean, they got they
No.
got 1,000 times better on defense, and you have Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis out there,
Yeah.
and you
In
can
the
move.
immediate,
I
it's a
think their
good
roster.
trade.
I think in the immediate, Dallas might have a better roster right now than the
In the
Lakers do.
immediate, it's a good trade. In the long term, we'll see. But for now, it's a fair trade. It's as about a fair trade as you can
Yeah.
see for the caliber players that were involved. I don't know how. I'm not sure Nico could have done much, but I understand the league wanted him to open up. I don't think he could have done other than getting more draft picks, which is not what Dallas wants to do right now. They don't care about
They're
that.
in a
They
win
want to
now
win
mode.
now. Right. They want to win now. This is probably the best win now trade they could have made.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Um, with them, like I said, AD is not a slouch player that they're
Not at
receiving.
all.
By any stretch of the
Yeah.
imagination.
Not at all.
And when Kyrie came to Dallas, we were all wondering how would he and Luca work together,
Right.
And it worked
because
great. Went to the finals.
they because they were
Worked out
very
pretty good.
similar. because they're very similar players. And so I think that now that they went to the finals because I mean there were some teams that were I don't say down, but they missed out on they missed
Lot of
playing.
things had. Yes, I
Yeah,
agree.
You
last,
know,
yeah,
Yes,
that's
yeah,
things
and
broke right for
so
him.
yeah.
right, and so I don't know if that was going to be long term for them to go continue to go to the finals because
Hmm.
I mean especially in the West.
Right.
Um, but it was just I mean it was a shake up. But as I was saying before, I think with this, hopefully this gives Luca a chance to refocus
Hmm.
on how can he become better because a lot of times we miss out on the message.
That's a great point.
Um, we miss out on the message because of our pride, our feelings, what people may have done to us.
Hmm.
But how can he refocus? Like these are the reasons why we decided we felt like this is the best deal for us. Well, take it and put it on the chipping show. Well, they say you're not in shape. Well, go get in shape.
Right.
Uh, you know,
I think long
play
term.
defense.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
Be a
I
better
think
defender.
I think long term, even though it's kind of weird to say a 25-year-old is going under somebody's wing, but for Luke and a 5-time All Star, but
Um,
with Luca to go under LeBron
well,
with
that,
LeBron's work ethic, as much as
Perfect.
I I get on LeBron and pick on LeBron, nobody's work ethic is stronger than LeBron James.
No.
And
well,
to for Luca to be able, if he takes advantage of it, if
right.
Luca takes advantage of what he's been given and to take over the reins for one or the Lakers, and two with LeBron still there, and with he might even have another. He may extend LeBron's career because LeBron's earlier in LeBron's career. I'm like, no, this is no way this is going to work. But now at this stage in LeBron's career, I feel like this is going to totally work. And he
Yeah.
won't mind taking a step back and letting it be Luca's show because I think that's what they wanted from Anthony Davis, and it just didn't work out that way. And I think this could be great for both, especially for Luca to learn under LeBron, especially the off the court part, because LeBron spends what $1 million on his body every year,
A
Yeah.
lot.
and if Luca can learn from that, look out.
Yeah. It
But
feels
but
like
but you
a great fit. Go ahead, John.
but you talking about a 25-year-old learning from a 40-year-old. So it's not like they're right next to each other. Uh,
But it's a different 40-year-old though. This is the second greatest player in the history of the league.
right. So I mean, that's a good mentor. I mean,
Yeah,
we all have mentors in our lives,
right.
and
Yeah.
so that's a great mentor
Great
to have.
mentor.
Yeah, yeah.
Hilarious.
And he landed in a pretty good situation.
Yeah, like
My
I
my
wouldn't be I wouldn't be upset for
No,
sure.
because it's
my
like
my final
they were.
question to both of you,
Mhm.
NBA related: the trade left to do, or the trade you would like to see done before 3 p.m. today?
Mm,
For me, this is easy, and I think we've already discussed it at ad nauseum. I really would like to see. I think it would be good for both of them if
Zion.
Zion went somewhere else, got a fresh start, hit same thing you just said about Luca. Apply that to Zion. Now you understand, son. You need to be focused. You need to. But now, what is the perfect fit for that? I don't know. I
I
honestly
think a
don't
good
know.
fit. I think a good fit for Zion personally, if again, if he listens, Miami. Now, well, hear me out. We know that he's off the court,
In the
but
building, yes.
in the building, the Heat culture,
Yes.
he's going to be in shape.
In the building,
That's
I
true.
1000% agree. It's the out of the building stuff that I'm deeply concerned about
Yeah, we know his
because his self
proclivities,
discipline is the challenge. That's the challenge.
but
Yeah,
you got Pat Riley and you got Alonzo Mourning there.
yeah.
You got Udonis Haslam there. And
And you
so
have a standard that
you have
he
a
will
standard.
have to abide by.
And so
Yeah.
yeah, I understand
Yeah.
the concerns off the floor. Saying,
No, I think that's
but
a perfect place
but the
for basketball. 1,000% agree with you.
basketball wise, I think
Yeah,
the
yeah,
heat culture that you get tired of hearing about all the time. I think
yeah.
it'll be a great fit for him personally,
I agree. 100%.
basketball wise.
That's the one that I would like to see. But the two of you, what is there one that you would like to see done by 3 p.m. today?
I
3
like
p.m.
to see.
Eastern, by the way.
I would like to see the Grizzlies get a third piece, but I don't know if they have if they have the pieces to go out and get a third piece, and I don't know who that would be.
Well, there's only one path
Zion.
to them. There's only one path to them getting that piece, and I don't know if they're ready to part with that. They would have to get rid of Desmond Bain. They have to. That's the
Desmond
only way
Bane.
to get it.
Either Desmond Bain or Gigi Jackson,
Oh God.
or what's the
I
rookie
wouldn't
they
do
got?
that.
The other rookie they got too. That's
I wouldn't
really
do
good.
that.
Zach Edey?
No, not Edie. No, they have another rookie.
Well, but to your point, Charlie, if you're trying to get a piece and win now,
I don't think he gets you that piece.
I wouldn't get rid of Zach Edey.
Maybe.
I
Depending on
don't
what
think
you're
he
trying to
gets you
get.
that piece. I think that your best bets are Gigi Jackson, Desmond Bain, and what is that? Give me a second.
Could I convince Masai to give me Scotty Barnes for Jack Edey and Desmond Bain
Nope.
and a first round pick?
They're not giving up.
They're not getting rid of
I'm
They're
just
not
asking.
giving up on Scotty for nothing. You're going to have to give them Ja for Scotty.
I just hate to see Scotty Barnes up there wasting his talent up there in Toronto. It's just, kid's so talented, and nobody's ever gonna know it.
Well, they may make a run eventually.
Next year. You got the next-
Jalen Wells, that's what I was talking about. He's
I don't know.
I mean, he's a rookie that no one had really heard of. He's coming off the bench, averaging 11 points, 3 rebounds a game, shooting 44% from the field. he's been pretty good.
He's
and then,
guard,
like I
right?
said, guard forward. He's 6'8".
Yeah.
And then, like saying, Gigi Jackson's been a pleasant surprise for them too. Their salary cap. I'm just now glancing at their salaries outside of Bain and Bain, Ja, and Jaren Jackson. Everybody else is making manageable salaries, so they're set to make a. For some reason, Marcus Smart's getting $20 million, but
He brought that in.
yeah,
But
Is he still playing?
he's on the team.
when
I haven't
he plays,
I haven't actually seen him on the court in a while.
since he's been in Memphis, he hasn't been the healthiest. So when he
hadn't
plays,
been healthy at all.
plays.
Yeah,
but he hadn't
Scottie
been
Pippen
healthy.
Jr. is playing really well for them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see him get an opportunity because he's playing.
They
really
may try to make a Marcus Smart move just to absolve themselves of that contract.
Whenever I play 2K, it's the first person I trade. When I start my season over tonight, first thing I'm doing is trading Marcus Smart.
We've traded Marcus Smart for anything. It's gonna be interesting. Charlie, is there somebody that you'd like to see, or is there somebody you'd like to see just get a fresh start? Maybe, I don't know.
Nah.
I know this is a sensitive subject for you because you've lived through this.
No, it's not.
Oh,
I was gonna say no, it's not.
okay.
Like I said, it's part of life. I mean, it's part of what happens, especially in this day and age.
It really is.
With all the moving parts and transfer portal and people searching.
Yeah.
I just think there's always a fundamental core of thought processes that I think people go through. And we're all in different spaces. Like people who are making decisions, I mean, it's tough on them, to make these decisions. So it's not like, it's, we're just going to make decisions and things will be No, they're toiling overnight because as a coach, I just even just last night, for me, we were up 44-14 uh, at halftime,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sitting there trying to figure out like, should I set out my starters
Yeah.
the third quarter,
Yeah.
or should I play them for a couple minutes and so it's like that whole you're always trying to figure out like
Right.
what's best, what's
Mm-hmm.
next,
Yeah. Yeah.
when you're in those
Yeah.
decisions, and it's tough, and you just hope that it works out. Um, but it's not easy on anyone. The ones that's making decisions, and the ones that's being told, hey, we don't need your services here any longer.
Yeah.
Here's another spot for you. So I just I just think it's tough all the way around, but it's life. We have
Mm-hmm.
what are we gonna do? Like when things happen to us, what are we gonna do? Are we? Some people go off the end, because they can't handle it, whatever it is, and some people it makes them stronger. And so it's just a matter of how we deal with it, and our perspective as well.
I do think that Zion's probably the only big name left to be moved if he's going to be moved. I think the big names are probably done moving around for now, but we still got what 5 hours, 4 hours left in
We
before the deadline. So
But think about Kevin Durant. I mean, he he was asked to move. So just think about him. I mean, he didn't move, but he was talked about.
yeah.
Um,
mm,
and so I know he has an ankle
Well,
injury right now, but
ironically, Shams just said that the Suns actually rejected the Warriors from the start, which you can debate that, whatever. That's what they're reporting, so we'll leave it at that for now.
if
But the
Sean
fact
said it,
that
then
he,
it's
yeah,
true.
right, it's probably true. It's probably true, but that doesn't mean that they're not trying to do something and that Kevin can't be moved. Like it's all of this is as Stephen A. would say, it's fluid. It's all fluid,
It's fluid,
right
right?
there. So,
Yeah.
we'll just see. It's going to be an interesting thing. But oh, by the way, there's a thing called a Super Bowl being played this weekend.
Right.
So we'll.
Love that the
What do
NBA
you,
just knocked them right out of the headlines.
shout out to ESPN who is desperately trying to reel people back into the Super Bowl, wanting to care about that. I think they won't until 3 o'clock this afternoon, but for now they're doing the best they can to try to focus on the game. But I'll ask you both. What are your thoughts? Who do you think is going to win this thing? Who are you picking to win this thing?
well, I'm hoping that one, it's a good game, which I do believe it will be.
I think it will be. Yeah.
Um, but two, I just want to see somebody beat Mahomes in a close game. Like that doesn't normally happen.
Right. Right.
And it hasn't happened in quite some time. I mean, they didn't won like 19 straight games or some crazy number.
Right.
Yeah.
One score
Here
game.
and two Super Bowls, and so I'm just hoping that the Philadelphia Saquon Barkley can work his magic, because I think he has magic in his legs, especially with the offensive line. I think they can do some great work. So I'm hoping Philadelphia can pull it off.
Okay.
Selfishly, I know a lot of Eagles fans. I don't know that many Chiefs fans. Go Chiefs. Because the Eagles fans I know are annoying. So
They are
it
annoying.
ain't got
They
nothing to
are
do with the
very.
players, because I really like Jalen Hurts. I really like Saquon Barkley. Let's be honest. The Eagles are the better team. They've got the best
Yeah.
defense and
They
they got
have.
the best
Yeah.
offensive line.
Yeah.
They shout out to the Eagles management. They're the best managed team in the NFC. This is why they're back in the Super Bowl. And so
Right.
everything is on their side. I love to see the heartbreak of Eagles fans. And so
Wow.
go Chiefs.
I I will say this: I saw an interview, a Super Bowl interview with Saquon, and he interestingly, and Charlie, you'll like this. He interestingly said, um, "It is not lost on me." This is Saquon. It's not lost on me that my best season has come at the same time that I've developed my relationship with Jesus Christ. I was like, hmm, that's interesting. And so his mentor, who was his agent, who he said is also a pastor, he said they've been really developing his faith, and he said it's done everything for me. I'd kind of like to see him finish that story. So I'm going to be rooting for the Eagles, knowing full well I'm probably wrong, and Patrick Mahomes is going to figure out a way to break his heart. But I'm going to root for the
I
Eagles.
root for Saquon to run for 250 yards and a loss.
So why are you against the Eagles?
Because of their fans. I know a bunch of Eagles fans. I don't know any Chiefs fans, so they don't get on my nerves. It's the Eagles fans that I live with. I got some I work with. I got some that I'm just friends with out in the community, and they are annoying. And so and I ain't gonna lie, I'm coming from a very jealous point of view. I hate that my team's not as well run as the Eagles. The Eagles make great decisions all the times, and my Dallas Cowboys don't. So yeah, I am a hater. I'm being very jealous, but
Come on, man. Come on.
Hey, I love Saquon. I was saying it before you went off. I love Saquon. I love Jalen Hurts. I just need them to lose. I don't want anything good to happen to the Eagles.
The hate is real, Charlie. The hate is real.
I see.
Hate the way you walk. You hate the way you dress.
Our pastor was talking about that this Sunday. Jealousy, envy.
Hey, I'm wearing green. Green with envy. I admit it.
It's real. It's real. I'm not an Eagles fan either, by the way. I'll be honest with you. I do not like that team.
I love Saquon Barkley.
I love Saquon.
I love Devonta Smith.
We'll see. All right. Well, who we shouting out this week, gentlemen?
What's Seminoles you shouting out?
Yeah, I'm shouting out the TCU Orchestra.
Oh,
Hey.
They had their concert last night. Beautiful concert. And our beautiful daughter was in center of the stage. She didn't have a solo or anything, but she stood out.
Stage.
But so shout out to TCU Orchestra. Shout out to our boys basketball team. We won last night pretty handily, but we ended up we're in the district finals on Friday, on tomorrow. So we're excited about that opportunity. And also shout out to Coach Ham for all the great years and memories that he's given and impact that he's made on his players' lives. And I'm glad that the team rewarded him with the win. I don't know how many more he will have the rest of the year, but grateful that they were able to pull the game out the other night against Notre Dame after his statement of resigning at the end of the season. So just shout out to him and all the staff, or at least Coach Stan Jones, who's been with them for quite a few years. I'll just say that. So just grateful for both of those guys.
I want to point out that that's twice that Charlie has referred to his blowout win from yesterday. He was pointing out that they were up 44-14 at halftime.
I'll be honest with you. I'm struggling with it because I've enjoyed it, and it feels
It's fighting.
It feels, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, but I'm trying to respect Coach Ham.
Yeah,
Coach Ham
I,
today.
I brought him up in 2 points
I agree,
that
but
I needed to
also,
make.
Charlie, 44-14 is pretty much on par for.
I
But I'm gonna
brought
let
him
you
up
live
in the
today.
points. I
I'm
had
gonna let
points
you.
that I needed to make.
I'm gonna let you live today, Charlie. You're 100% correct. But
Thank you.
you're really teetering. You're teetering.
I
Is what I'm
appreciate
saying.
it. Thank you.
See the way he's saying thank you.
See, I'm just saying you're on that line. Just
He knows it.
flirting with, I don't know. Okay. All right.
Oh, I get. I mean, I echoes some of Charlie's sentiments with Coach Ham, though. A shout out to him. A great career. I say he meant so much to basketball, not just in the state of Florida, but also here in the state of Kentucky. So big shout out to him. Big shout out to. I don't remember if I shouted out Peyton and Chucky last week for sitting down with me last week, and I got to sit down and talk to the two of them, doing a 2-part interview with them. If you haven't seen it, just check it out. It's on all my social medias. Just two great guys that have formed a great relationship. Chucky talked about how Peyton was his favorite college guard to watch growing up, and how appreciative he is to have him as a mentor now, because it's more than just coach player relationship. They are generally like mentor mentee, and he takes a lot from Peyton, and he looks up to Peyton a lot, and Peyton's a great guy to look up to. And so shout out to them for giving me the time to sit down and talk to them. We had a great time, and a lot of it was Peyton and I picking on each other, but it's all good. So yeah, shout out to them, and shout out to U of L for giving me the time and the opportunity to talk to them.
I want to give a shout out to you guys. This has been a fun show, and then specifically Kendrick. Shout out to you, man, for starting that new NBA show with all the stuff that we got going on. To do another podcast, it's not the easiest thing to do, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's definitely going to add to the bigger brand that we're trying to create. And if you see the new intro and the new outro that we've created, you kind of start to see the vision of what we're trying to create over here. We're definitely trying to build something that's long-term going to be something that we can, bring others into and have some fun and just build, something significant. But I also want to give my final shout out again to Charlie, man. I am deeply impressed by what you and your wife are trying to do. And there's definitely more to come. I hope I can help you in any way that I can help you with trying to reach your goals, because I am an advocate for young people. I think that's our greatest investment as people, is to invest in our tomorrow. And in the cynical world that we now live in, it is refreshing to see people still doing good things like this to help the world still become a better place. So I applaud you for that. So there you go.
Appreciate it.
With that being said, you got something?
He still gets a half a flex.
I feel like we're
Not
gonna
the
let you
full
live.
flex.
No, we go.
Just
Well, we'll just flex you on the screen and leave it there. We'll leave it there. The love is still real, though. The love is still real.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. With that being said, guys, have a great Super Bowl weekend. Enjoy the rest of the trade deadline. It's going to be a fun next 3 or 4 days.
Next 3 or 4 hours.
3 or 4 hours. It's going to be fun. It's going to be very exciting to see what happens. And then, try not to overwhelm yourself on this unofficial holiday called Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, because you got to go to work on Monday.
You got to go work. So don't do nothing crazy. All right. We'll see you next week on Bleav in the ACC.